Dan Potter, we've got some friends joining us. It's about time we talked about Open Class Drum Corps, don't you think?
Up in Marion watching Open Class championships. I miss that. And folks, if you've never made it to an OC championship, you are missing something, because the Open Class corps are spectacular, and they've been spectacular for years now. Joining me is the Drum Corps International Open Class coordinator, Dave Eddleman. Dave, good to talk to you.
Thank you.
You're there in is it the Captain Benish house? Is that your beautiful house up there in Maine?
Yeah, Captain Bennis' house. He built it in 1875. The neat thing about old Captain Bennis was he served all 4 years in the Civil War. His very first task as a U.S. citizen, he came from Austria, was voting for Abraham Lincoln in 1960.
Wow. That is, love that. Also with us is Tim Heasley. Tim is the core director of Golden Empire of Bakersfield, California. Tim, welcome to our MarchOn Telethon.
Glad to be here, Dan.
I wanted to check in with both of you, and Steve, stick around because I know you got a couple of questions too. But let's find out about the status. We've concentrated a lot on world class here, but this has impacted Open Class as much, if not more, than world class, this pandemic and the shutdown and everything associated with it. As Open Class coordinator, Dave, can you kind of give us an update on what the corps have been doing, what you've been doing to stay in communication, to move things forward, to march on?
Well, thank you for asking that, because our Open Class Corps directors run organizations that are fairly resilient, and I would also call it maybe nimble in terms of this particular situation. Because they work on smaller budgets and they work on usually smaller or shorter, let's say more truncated tours, I think that they might be well prepared and in a good position to venture into 2021 and whatever that offers to us as far as Drum Corps International and the continuation of the Drum Corps activity.
Tim, is that the case? I mean, do you think you're going to weather this okay?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I can speak best for my own program. I think we're in a pretty good spot. Obviously, like many programs, we're looking hard at how we do budgeting at this time and all that. We are, we've trimmed our operations way down, and we're doing mostly virtual learning with a lot of really just volunteer hours from just an amazing staff that wants to see the Corps continue on. And I know that that's probably a pretty common thread with other Open Class Corps that are, weathering the storm right now.
Where were you? I mean, how did it look this 2020 season for Golden Empire before March hit and all the trouble?
Well, we were pretty excited. We had a great group of students show up for auditions in our audition season. And, our staff has pretty much been the same for the last few years. And I think they get, just as excited as anyone else when a season gets started. They get the band back together, so to speak. And they were really excited about the future. We still continue to have a design process that's happening right now that everyone's really excited about. And so we think that's going to be really fun to dig into again when we get a chance to return to all of this. So.
In the meantime, virtual learning? Have you been doing any of that, digging into that?
Absolutely. That's so we happen to be at Golden Empire, a college program. So we actually kind of finished out our spring semester just in an online modality like any other class on our campus. And so we kept up kind of our regular schedule. It just was all virtual, master class style things. And then, of course, we've been checking in throughout the summer as well. But we took a slightly different focus this summer, as I'm sure some other programs have, where we really realized that it's not just about the education piece that students are not getting right now. It's also just the social piece of being in a drum corps, that, it's the conversations at the meal break or on the bus or you name it. And it's really hard to replicate those moments, but we in our program have tried to do that through some kind of social gatherings online and things. So.
Steve, back in Indianapolis, you're monitoring this discussion. What occurs to you?
Well, it's just remembering my marching days coming up through what was the Class A ranks back then, which would have been the Open Class ranks. I think they were some of the most gratifying years as a marching member, and it struck me about that socialization angle. I think you're right, because that is so important to the younger kids as part of our development here within this activity, creating fine citizens out of those young people.
Absolutely.
Dave, we've heard appeals from Dan Atchison and Steve about supporting Drum Corps International as well as supporting its member corps. From the open class perspective, this is your chance. What's the pitch here? Why I'm going to give my money to my favorite corps. Why should I also support DCI, and how do they support open class corps?
Well, that's a really good question. And you know, the open class organizations are very often the entry level for a lot of the kids that are coming into the activity. So when you've got somebody that is a 16 or 17-year-old student that is in high school and is looking for an opportunity to be a part of a drum and bugle corps, they're looking at probably an open class experience. So I look at it, I call it entry level, whatever that you can call it whatever you like, but that's that opportunity for those kids to become a part of DCI. And so many of the kids out in the band world, I'll call it, are anxious to be a part of Drum Corps International, but they're not sure that they can be a part of the Blue Coats or the Blue Devils or one of those groups quite yet. But they do have an opportunity to join Tim's group, the Golden Empire, or any of the other open class drum corps and get a great drum corps experience in terms of wonderful training, a great program that they can participate in and be a part of, great tour experience. And then if they want to use that as a launching board to move on to one of those other groups, they have an opportunity to do that. So I think that DCI supporting open class drum corps is essential, because I think that that is our future, is those kids that are coming in as entry-level participants in the activity.
The other thing is the level of quality has just done this at open class. It's just amazing what these corps are accomplishing now.
Oh, Steve, I'm so glad you brought that up, because it is remarkable. And it should be really no question about that, because the directors like Tim, there are some really wonderfully dedicated professional people working at the helms of these open class drum corps. And they're bringing in some incredibly talented staff people. They're doing a great job of designing a program that works for the amount of tour and the amount of time that they're going to be engaged and involved with their students. So they've figured out the formula to really have a successful program at the open class level. And you're right. I'm absolutely astounded by what I see year over year in terms of the growth and development of open class drum corps.
Tim Heasley, do you take the 2020 show, put it on a shelf, take it off in 2021, dust it off, add some things to it, and put it on the field, or do you design a whole new show in 2021?
Well, I think for the most part, we're going to retain it. I think we were just so excited about the concept, but we also realized that, you know, as we all transition into 2021, we need to be thinking about that show in the context of what that season ends up being for everyone. And so I don't think it's just going to be a put it on the shelf, take it off situation. I think we're really going to make sure it's catered to the specific members that we have in the next season, and then it's catered to the time that we're living in. So, but yeah, we like what the theme was, so we're going to keep that part.
So many question marks. Gentlemen, thank you for giving us the answers that you could and for being with us tonight. Dave Eddleman and Tim Heasley, we really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.